Hey guys, I'm here to talk to you about shifting the ancestral line. I had a really amazing group session tonight, and I was encouraged by the participants to come tonight and talk to you a little bit about how, um, what a difference it makes to make that shift and to acknowledge the people that are in your bloodline, your for lack of better words, we're going to call them ancestors. The people who have have allowed you to be here today, and the people who have are part of the legacy that you live right now, and to acknowledge them, acknowledge the people in your bloodline who've given you the ability to be here today, to acknowledge the walk that they made, the sacrifices that they created, the joys that they bring, the good and the bad, both combined to bring you to your space today. That when we take the time to stop and imagine what their life might be like. Now, I know this is um, what's the word I'm thinking of? This is a exercise in imagination, but taking the time to imagine what it might be like to invite your ancestor to come and sit with you and for you to give them that gratitude and to acknowledge them for the sacrifices that they made so that you can be where you are today is a beautiful practice in which that you can find peace and joy and healing. It's about time for you to say thank you, not only to God. Of course, we say thank you to him because he provides us with everything, but to those who've come before us as a practice for us to not only be grateful, but to also acknowledge and to be empathetic towards them, so that we can continue living the legacy. So, one of the things that I wanted to bring to light is how you can do that. So, I'm just going to grab a book. Hold on one second. So, I have this book and by Joe Vitale. It's actually called Buying Trances. But there's something very interesting. And one of my most favorite pages in the book is page 173, and it's called The Sentence. So, I want you to take these things into consideration when you are speaking to your inner child, but also speaking to the bloodline in your ancestral past. So there are 5 things that people will do anything for those who encourage their dreams, justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, and help throw rocks at their enemies. So the exercise that I encourage my participants to um, be a part of is to sit with a potential ancestor and to justify their failures, allay their fears, confirm their suspicions, throw rocks at their enemies, and encourage their dreams. Now, we can't change what happens in the past, but we can always ask them what their dream was and to help them to visualize what their dream might look like. So, for instance, um, when I did the exercise myself, I had an ancestor that felt frustrated and angry because they were leaving their homeland and they were moving to a different space and they were leaving their whole life behind in from that space where they felt like they had everything and were moving to a new land. And one of the things that they felt like they left behind is a love, a love that they call their own. And so in this new space, when I was meeting with this ancestor, I was able to reunite her with her love. And so she felt like her dream was coming true. Her dream of being with her love. And we created this space where her fears were allayed. No, don't worry, you'll be reunited with your love. That we threw rocks at her enemies. Now, it doesn't have to be literal enemies, but it could be someone who she feels like she was wronged by. So she felt like she was coming from her home, from her home and moving to another place. And she was resistant to moving into that new place. And she was also angry. So maybe to say, I'm so sorry that you had to move. Um, and such. There's a whole aspect. I'm sorry that you had to move. I'm sorry that your parents made you do that. I'm sorry that you left everything behind. I'm sorry that you feel that way. Um, and kind of go into that space where you're doing that, allay your fears and confirm their suspicions. And yes, your life was really hard. In the case scenario in which I was looking at, she um never found love again. She didn't marry. um she stayed alone, and she was a little miserable. um she was angry, and she decided to remain alone. If she wasn't going to have the love that she wanted, she didn't want anyone else. And so she kind of created the space where she was a little miserable. And so we reunited her with the love of her life, and she was able to feel that requited love in that space. And it's just beautiful. It's a beautiful practice to be able to do something like that. And that's one of the things that I do is I help people to visually meet with their ancestral line. And I do something like, it's all imaginative play, but it's so restorative is the word. And it's so um deep, and it connects to things that we might not realize that it's connected to for our own lives. And so um giving a voice to the bloodline that's within is a beautiful practice that really can make a deep difference in your life. Thanks for listening, and may God bless you always.